by choice, not by chance. Unfaithfulness is a decision, regardless of the fuel that may lead you to do it. I understand people can neglect you, disrespect you, deprive you of the necessary things to keep a relationship healthy. That's a truth. However, the actual act itself to commit infidelity within a relationship is only possible by the voluntary participation of unfaithfulness. Now, I will say this, if you do find yourself cheating and being unfaithful and you feel as though it was some random occurrence, the repercussion is the complication of the situation can heighten very quickly. And before you even realize it and come to a place of consciousness, you have lost yourself in lust and now you cannot find a way to get out of it. So I encourage people, when you're already frustrated in a relationship situation and there is a possibility of you stepping out on the one that you've made a vow to, don't walk the edge because it's inevitable. You're going to fall off. How did you end up cheating? I don't know. It just happened. I just woke up and I was naked. As stated, we cheat by choice, not by chance. Shoes and food.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. No one is faithful on accident. This side. Go ahead and start with you first, Darwin. What are your thoughts about this, sir?
I mean, it stems from what we've been talking about this entire time, and that's choice. I mean, I think he started his whole basis of where he wanted to come from on his point of view was from you have a choice to do it. And you don't just make a mistake, you know what I'm saying? And in order to get out of it, you got to actually walk your way back from point to point of how you got there to be able to prevent it from ever happening again or even get out of it. But yeah, man, I've made videos on infidelity. I mean, it's a choice. Nobody can force you to do it. It's a desire to want to be with multiple people. But I think the way to come to an understanding when you're dealing with somebody who want to be committed with you is to be upfront and honest about how you want to move. And we live in a day and age, especially what I tell men, we live in a day and age where, you know, there's sexual liberation and women are willing to sleep with the same man and even procreate with the same man. Just be honest, man, and let them know, hey, look, I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. I don't want to be committed. You'd be surprised. There's women out there that's willing to be down with you and rock with you. You just got to be honest about how you want to be. And if that's how you want to be, you shouldn't feel attacked or demoralized of how you want to move. Women don't do it. You shouldn't do it. And it's not because women don't do it. It's just because that's your choice and that's who you want to be. So you just got to stand on it. That's how I feel about that.
All right. I had a question for you. I think Sir Hell was on here before, and he mentioned that men still have the urges, but they just don't act on it. So would you guys say that that's true for both men and women? Do you think people having these thoughts, do you think it's more that more people have these thoughts, or you just think that people are able to just totally just not think about nobody else and focus on that one person?
I think that people are definitely having those thoughts and not acting on them. And I also feel that that's problematic. Speaking back to what Darwin was saying, like you gotta express some of that. You know what I mean? It's mind over matter. However, it's truth over everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that. Yeah, those thoughts are being had a lot and they not being built upon. You know what I'm saying? It's problematic.
I think people I think men and women have thoughts, but I think it's vastly different for men. There was a study done on women that was taking, I think, testosterone supplements in order to transition, and when she weaned off of them, her sex drive, it cut in almost one, it was 1/10 of what it was before. Now I might be citing these numbers wrong if somebody want to find the study and look it up, but the general premise of it was the testosterone levels that we operate at. It kind of explains why when women talk about, I'm with Rilla and everybody else on the panel who say you should not be lying and cheating on people, but just so I can discuss the concept, right? I'm gonna describe it like this: that when women talk about if you love me, you wouldn't have had sex with her. I think it lacks the nuance of what that testosterone does. And I'm not advocating for cheating. I'm just trying to speak specifically to the biological difference that occurs.
Really?
I'm not, I'll never advocate for cheating. I think everybody should tell the truth to whoever they with. But I'm trying to dive in and have a deeper conversation about the biological nature of men and how it differs from women and how it highlights itself when we have these conversations about fidelity or sexuality. Because the way men operate with a sex or a mating strategy is completely different than the way women operate. But a lot of times when we have the discussion, they judge us or view us through the lens that they view themselves from, and they really just can't seem to understand what the difficulty is.
I disagree, man. I get what you're saying. We have innate and naturally that's our behavior or whatever. Some may argue against it, but I don't think that they judging us off of going against our nature. I think they're judging us off of going against our word.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Come out and say, hey, look, I want to be committed to you. I love you. And you make all these vows, but your body is telling you one other thing and you giving it your body. I think that's what the women are confused about or angered about.
I 100% agree with you. I maybe didn't describe it right. That's why I kept trying to add the emphasis on, because cheating makes it deception, which is you lying, which is you breaking trust, which then becomes the ultimate problem. So I 100% agree with that. What I really was trying to get at was because when people accept it, you don't hear them discuss the difference. I only really hear it discussed when women talk about he cheated because he didn't love me. And it's something there. I don't have a study to back up what I'm saying. This is just a hunch or a hypothesis. But the way in which they describe it, it to, at least to me, it seems as though there's a disconnect in the way they understand how we actually operate sexually.
Oh, I know what you're saying, Marcus.
You get what I'm saying? And it's not to advocate cheating
about
on.
how men for women, sex is an intimate connection, and they view love
differently.
Intimacy, right? And then for men, it's the idea that men can cheat or have sex with a woman or whatever.
And they don't understand how you could do that and still love me. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the reason I use cheating is because it would have to be cheating for them to make that statement is the only reason. So yeah, I agree with you, Bruiser. Did that clear up what I was saying for you?
Yeah, it cleared it up. It cleared up. I had conversations with women saying, "Oh, if he cheat on me, he don't love me." And you got a lot of women out there that associate love with him keeping his dick in his pants. A man can love a woman and give dick here and there. Excuse my language, but it's all about the premises you base your relationship on. It. Okay, if this is how we're gonna move. This is how we're gonna move, and just be a man of your word. And when a man is not a man of his word, and he deviate from what he told his woman that's he's supposed to love, and she associate that, okay, you don't love me because you deviated.
I'll say a large number of men, I would almost say probably most men, struggle in that area. And I mean, it ties into everything that we've been talking about today: media influence, the amount of men that are watching pornography, the you know what I mean, how that impacts your brain, how that drives lust for a lot of people. One thing I do have a problem with is infidelity being used as the end all be all to define if you're a good man or not. Most men have, like, it is a decision to be faithful, but there are a lot of variables, there are a lot of barriers that need to be in place to help a man remain faithful. So most men, I would say, they put layers of barriers in their life, whether it's a relationship with God that they want to maintain a certain level of purity, the love for their wife, their own view of integrity, and then coming down to the practical things like making sure that you're not in a place or around anything that can encourage that, watching watching your eyes, not looking at not looking at other women. And that's been a big thing in the culture, talking about some look but don't touch, but the looking leads to lustful thoughts, and it can easily take you down that road to where if one of your barriers is out of whack, it can cause you to just spiral down to a place where you don't even recognize yourself anymore. So just the big problem I have with that is, counseling a lot of married couples, and a lot of women have a hard time really coming to terms with, it's not you. It's not because you weren't good enough. It was because of the things, a combination of the things that were going on in his life, some of his very natural struggles. Sometimes infidelity takes place as a result of low self-esteem in men. With other men, it is purely they struggle with lust. So there's different reasons why it can happen, but women coming to terms with that, it's not because of you per se, although you could have been an influence on it. I know a lot of the faithful couples that I counsel, one of the issues is that for some reason, when the wife gets comfortable inside the marriage and feels secure, she might sometimes fall back on some of the things that she knows her husband needs. So pulling back on sex, limiting it, not making it a priority, and the issues that come along with that. But when the infidelity happens, they don't want to assume any of that responsibility, because it's like they put, oh, just because I didn't give it to you, you couldn't keep it in your pants, not realizing that, no, that was just one of the contributing factors to a lot of other things that might have been going on in his life. Job stress, low self-esteem, drinking, any, a wide range of things. So it's nuanced, and we do need to change that narrative that once a man cheats, he's forever viewed as just a bad guy or something like that.
And when you say that, a lot of men feel like society is programming men to feel that they're an asshole or a jerk for actually being honest about how they want to move, even if it's sleeping with other women.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real stigma put on that, and those guys, the guys that are honest about what they want to do and that don't even want to get into a committed relationship because of that, I respect that. But I don't know what it's like the most faithful men, the one that don't want to step out on their wife. Those men are often labeled as the corny ones, there's problems in the marriage because wife feels like he's not spontaneous enough, or it's like the simple, hard-working 9-to-5 man that just tries to live right, and that's not something that's appealing currently in our culture.
I agree with that. Yo, I wanted to build on that. Hey, I think one of the biggest barriers is what you're talking about. It's too many factors running the show. I feel like the barrier is the same as the tech attacks that we're talking about. A lot of people are trying to live their regular lives based upon what they see on a device or what they've been told in a religion or something like that. But very rarely are we doing the things that, Trev was talking about, or some of the stuff M. White was building on. And I don't know where my man's went, but some of the stuff that he was talking about, like resorting back to hearing yourself and who you truly are. So when you got somebody else running the show, like you said, the 9-to-5 guy that's doing this, and he's considered corny and all of this, because the truth is that might not actually be him. You know what I mean? Somebody else, he might have a true desire to do something else, but since he's been dictated to that this is what you should do from somewhere that made the situation feel safe, that's what he settled on. And you always gonna reach contention when you're not being truthful to yourself. You know what I mean? So I think that I think Darwin was talking about this. I think women do a pretty good job at expressing their intelligence. Like even if you just average woman in the club, you looking on the internet, she may not be into girls, but she'll smack her girl on the butt. Damn girl, you doing this, that, and the third. This is not just a trend or something they doing. That's how they really feel a lot of the times. And I don't think men are getting a chance to, really. I don't feel like there's as much as expression as there needs to be, so we can set the foundation to have that success that Darwin was talking about and that White was talking about. But I just want to build on that point with you, Nelson. I think that the tech war we talking about is the same thing that's holding us back as whether it be a household, a relationship, or a civilization.
That's dope. That's dope.